Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Guapish at the Library. You didn't think we were going to do another one of these now, did ya? Well, we're back, and this time we're going to be checking out a manga. One by the Fujimoto man himself, Goodbye Eri. And joining me today, of course I am Nico, I've got the biggest Fujimoto stan himself, Tanner.
Oh, that's right. I love Chainsaw Man, Look Back, and Fire Punch.
And of course, we've also got the biggest Fujimoto hater, Jackson.
I actually fucking hate Look Back, Chainsaw Man, and Fire Punch.
But how'd you guys feel about Goodbye Eri, the topic of our episode today? Tanner.
Did this come out before or after Fire Punch?
After.
Huh. It feels a little recycled then.
How so?
Doesn't a lot of this exact same shit happen in Fire Punch?
Not necessarily. I mean, the only connection I guess you could make is just with, in Fire Punch, they've got what the fuck their name is that wants to film a movie about Agni.
Yeah.
So I guess that structure's same, but like, I mean, it's like that also like stops halfway through, like, you know.
Sure. I just see a lot of similar elements there with the Eri character and then whatever the fuck that character's name in Fire Punch is.
Togata.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. It's just some person that's kind of like forcing their will on somebody. You know, you're drawing more conclusions here than I initially anticipated. You know, I give up. Initially, I was planning on disagreeing with everything you said and agreeing with everything that Nico said, but I think I'm inversing that.
It's been too long since I've read Fire Punch. I completely forgot about that subplot.
Yeah, Togata is just like constantly trying to get Agni to do shit to help her make a better movie, and Eri's doing the exact same thing with the main guy in this one. Except, you know, this is about, Fire Punch is about grief and sadness and overcoming like abuse, whereas Fire Punch is more about grief and sadness and overcoming abuse. So they're totally different themes and subject matter.
Right. I mean, Goodbye Eri definitely has a decent bit more going on than just that, though. There is, like, the meta-commentary about, like, perspective and stuff like that as well that it has mixed in there.
Yeah, and Fire Punch only has meta-commentary on perspective. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, Eri and Togata are very similar. I guess in Goodbye Eri, she only pretends to be immortal and use movies to, recreate her memories. Whereas Togata is actually immortal and using movies to recreate her memories.
However, Fire Punch doesn't have an unreliable narrator now, does it?
Well,
I mean, Togata's not very upfront about their motives with Agni initially.
She's not the main character, though. She's not the narrator.
They're the main character for like half of it. They're the one that drives the plot forward for the vast majority of it until stuff starts going sideways. Let's stop comparing it to Fire Punch, Let's talk about these things as independent works here.
Yeah, especially since you guys have your very own Fire Punch video brewing at some point once Jackson finally gets around to fucking Masterclass, whatever that book is called.
Deadly Class? Dude,
That's
one of these
one.
days. One of these fucking days, bro. Yes, I do like the commentary on perspective, like Nico said. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to say it's like necessarily well done, mostly just because it seems kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say thrown in, but you kind of see what I mean, where like you get the reveal of, both Eri and his mom are kind of a bitch near the end, and it's supposed to like change the way you see the rest of it. And be like, oh yeah, no, he's only remembering like the good parts of them, or he's like editing in such a way that it only shows their good parts because that's like what he wants to remember them by. But I don't know. It didn't really work a crazy amount for me, I wouldn't say, but I do like the idea.
That was honestly my favorite part of it, though. That definitely hit me hard once I read that, especially just like when he's having that conversation with his dad, where they're talking about how, like, I just don't know what the fuck to do with, like, this whole Eri thing, and his dad's like, okay. It's like, look, I'm gonna show you some shit that you had also recorded that you didn't include in the movie. Look, your mom was a fucking bitch. She was awful. She was abusive towards you, but you showed her in such a nice light, and I really appreciate that. That's how I want to remember her, and that was just really sweet, especially when he's having that conversation with, like, their other friend, the woman who shows up for, like, a single scene in the book, where she's like, yeah, Eri was also really fucking awful. And, like, she wore glasses all the time. Like, that's not normal, and, like, all this other stuff. But, you know, it's really sweet the way in which you pictured her, and I like that a lot. And it also kind of delves into kind of just, like, how you view yourself as well, because, like, the entire purpose of that film that he was making was for Aries, so that she could, like, remember herself in the future. But, like, this isn't how she actually was. She's just, like, showing, like, the idealized version of herself, which is also kind of strange as well. There's something going on there, too. There's a lot to dive into for this book.
Like, yeah, I mean, she wants to basically train her new self to be a better person, I think, is the general idea. I think she's cognizant of the fact that she's a bitch, and the purpose of the movie is to be like, this is how you are, and this is how you should be acting, and I like a fucking bitch like you are.
Yeah.
I like that it ends with an explosion the same way the original movie starts.
Which makes you question, hang on, was this all just a movie? Was none of this actually real?
It is a work of fiction by Fujimoto.
Exactly.
It's very meta, so that's probably the general idea you're supposed to take away.
So, Tanner, outside of this just being Fire Punch, what were your general thoughts on it?
You know, I think it's a cute little story. Obviously, I've established that I'm pretty biased against meta stuff. I'm generally not a huge fan of it. I don't
Boo! Fuck you! You hate whimsy? What do you want from your story? Just point A to point B, basic-ass story?
What? That doesn't make any sense, what you're saying.
I don't like it when it
retard.
explores any themes. I don't like it when it tries to be more than what it is.
That's not what meta means in a storytelling context, you fucking nunts.
Yeah, but I've heard all your reviews of other pieces of media, and you hate other things too.
No. But I think this still did it pretty well. Honestly, I mean, it's a pretty short story, so I don't have a ton of thoughts on it, really, and I think it's pretty straightforward as well, so honestly, the comparisons to Fire Punch were kind of the bulk of what I was thinking of, where I'm like, this feels like he just kind of took a portion of that story and then fleshed it out a bit more, which, you know, good on him, I guess, get that money, but it's very funny to me.
I mean, there's so much more to delve into than just the narrative itself. For example, the framing for the manga is that nearly everything we're seeing is being shown to us through footage. And as a result, like, the paneling that he does also reflects that, where, like, it's all just, like, these fat-ass panels ordered vertically, so instead of just, like, your pretty standard manga paneling. And so the art style really commits to this even more, because we see that, like, he even, like, works in fucking, like, motion blur and stuff like that too, which just makes it all feel very immersive in its experience.
It does feel like you're watching a movie. That is one thing people talk about with Fujimoto's work a lot, is that it feels like you're reading a movie, and just, like...
Yeah.
I guess you could make parallels to the way he does his paneling to a movie storyboard and something like that. And I think it's interesting, especially because you get to see, like, the expressions of people change over time, which I think is interesting. There's a lot of shots where it's will be like a full page of 4 panels, and they're very similar, but it's basically just somebody's head slightly turning, and it feels very immersive because of that, you know? Yeah. Like, it's a very interesting way of displaying it. Also, just generally, I think his art is good too. I really like this era of Fujimoto's art, where it's like, it's still a little scratchy and rough looking, but it's still plenty detailed. I like his character designs. I think the environments look great. It's not obviously a very ambitious artistic project, I wouldn't say. It's very narrative focused, but I definitely don't have any major qualms about the art with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not nearly as detailed as something like Berserk, or, like, it's not as clean as most fucking manga out there, but it still has a lot of character to it.
Yeah, it's also not necessarily trying to be something like that. It's a very simplistic one-shot. I would like to see this get adapted to a movie. I think it would work very well as a short film, just given the nature of what it is. I think there's a lot of fun cinematography tricks they could do to spice it up for that adaptation. I assume it'll probably get an adaptation at some point, given the success of Look Back as well.
Yeah,
I assume.
No doubt.
Look Back did gangbusters, right, comparatively to what they're assuming?
Yeah, I believe so. Especially, like, out in the West, I don't think they really anticipated people grasping onto as much as we did, but yeah, over here in the West, people seem to enjoy it a lot, too.
Enjoyment doesn't mean box office, so who knows?
Also true. I just saw a lot of videos out there of people being like, Look Back is the best film to come out of Japan in generations, go see it. Maybe it didn't do super well financially, though, who knows?
Something that you made me think of when you were talking about the way the panel framing is with this one is it's very Western in that sense. It follows along with how American comic books tend to do paneling, especially with that specific thing Jackson mentioned where it's like a bunch of still frames that just show the evolution of like the character's face. That's all over the place in American comic books, so I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the things that definitely makes Fujimoto stand out a lot. We're kind of just talking about Fujimoto now instead of the work itself, but it's one of the things that makes him stand out a lot is just that a lot of his work seems to be much more inspired by like Western media, like films, comic books, and stuff like that, rather than a lot of other mangaka out in Japan, where it's just like, I like anime, I'm gonna make the next Evangelion, or Sword Art Online.
That is something I'm always curious about with like manga creators, because like obviously manga in some way evolved out of or was inspired by American comics. I wonder to what extent like modern day manga writers are, I guess, informed about the comic book medium when they're making their own stuff.
I guess I probably wouldn't imagine all that much. There's just so much going on in their own little sphere of the world, and that's generally where they try and focus a lot more of their marketing and stuff like that as well. Like, where they view Japan as like the place where they want to get success, mainly. That's like the market they're trying to, I guess, market towards. And as a result, that's like mainly what they're trying to pander to.
See, that's what my assumption would be as well, but like a lot of times when I read a manga or watch an anime, there will be like pretty deep cut references to like American comic book stuff in these things. I'm like, okay, so this guy has definitely like looked into something to some depth. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be an interesting someone interview one of these people and ask them that, I guess.
Someone get on to making a video essay about that topic.
There you go.
Okay, so do
we have any other thoughts on Goodbye Eri?
Yeah, do we have much more to say on this one?
I wish this wasn't such a spur-of-the-moment review. I was not able to do my due diligence, I suppose. I definitely had more to say 4 weeks ago.
We've had weeks where we've been talking about reviewing it.
And I've been ready the entire time.
Okay. Well, I thought it was really good. Personally, I don't know about you guys, but it did make me cry. It was fantastic. Big fan. Can you guess which scene it was that brought the tears on?
Dude, it was right before the first explosion.
Correct, no. It was actually just like stereotypically at the moment where she says like, I want you to make them sob or whatever, when it shows the like this was being shown in his fucking class lead or whatever. It was really great. Solid. Great work. Our review structure for this is based off of the fucking chess grading scale. And so I'm going to be giving this one a brilliant, truly fantastic work.
I'm looking at the scale here now. I'm definitely not nearly that high. I think it's entertaining. I think it's got some depth to it. But I don't think I was super crazy about it, generally speaking. But also that's maybe just because
I'm a hater.
No, I just lost some pondering moments, I think I probably would. Tentatively, I'm saying excellent.
Okay.
So, I think it's solid. I enjoyed it. I wasn't crazy about the emotional impact scenes, generally speaking. I don't think it really hit me that hard. There's definitely some depth to it that I'm missing, and I could probably enjoy it more on rereads. I would definitely still like to see a movie adaptation. Right now I'm saying excellent, though.
And I'm gonna go with good. I thought it was good. It didn't really blow me away in any way, and I didn't really think anything it did was something I haven't seen before, so I'm just gonna give it a good.
Boo. Awful. Just awful. I can't believe you two. This is the man's magnum opus, and you're just spitting all over it.
This is not his magnum opus. Come on.
Well, I guess we'll be seeing how his true magnum opus in your eyes ends up stacking up to it. Fire Punch in your guys' next review. Definitely very excited about that. Get on, Deadly Class Jackson. I want to see your review.
Damn, I'm gonna have to reread Fire Punch again by the time I get around to that shit.
Dude, so am I at this rate.
You've read it like fucking 5 times, haven't you, Jackson?
I've read Fire Punch so many goddamn times, but I'll need to read it again. Oh well, I gotta read Fire Punch again. Oh well, too bad
my favorite
for me.
manga ever. I have to reread again. God damn it.
I fucked up. God damn it. It was actually all a ploy. I'm just trying to give myself more time to simmer so I can read it again.
Yeah. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed it, folks. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, or ring a ding that bell. We'll be seeing you next time. Bye-bye!
Bye.
Bye-bye.